Hello everyone and welcome to 100 days in 1.21 Minecraft. The 1.21 update adds new challenges, new blocks, and lots of other neat features. Follow me along while I explore all of the new content and build a cozy little base. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see to let YouTube know that this video isn't trash. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Oh, the first day of a new Minecraft world. There's nothing like it. In this particular world, I spawned inside of a spruce forest, which is great because you can get some really easy early game food, sweet berries. So after getting my set of stone tools and some berries, I set off to explore a bit and see what was around. I was lucky enough to find a village, which means that I don't have to hunt around for sheep. So I borrowed some crops from the villagers, and someone was even nice enough to let me sleep in his bed and then take it the next morning. I thought it could be kind of cool to base near a village, so I hopped around looking for a good place and found another village, and this one had a perfect flat hill next to it that I could already envision placing a house on. So I set down my stuff to make it official. The next goal is to get some better gear, food, and also building materials for a house. So I mined around for a bit and got lots of coal and enough iron for a shield and a bucket. I ended the day with planting some spruce saplings on a sky platform and went to sleep for the night in my new base. The next morning, I crafted an iron pickaxe and set out to do a bit more caving. I got some more coal and iron and found the most epic cave ever. I mean, look how big it is. I definitely plan on exploring that soon, but I wanted to fill up my bucket with water first to make it easier to get down. But I got a bit distracted and chopped down my spruce tree and decided to loot the village since I never did with this one. And I found a zombie spawner like right below the village. The villagers were being a little dumb though and trying to get themselves killed, so I had to go on a little rescue mission. I mean, look how many villagers were down here. That spawner will definitely come in handy in the future, but for now, I want to explore that cave. So the next morning, I dropped down a bucket of water and did some mining. I went a pretty tame route because we still don't have any armor and I'm scared. But after the trip, I was able to get enough iron for a full set of iron armor. I found a saddle in the zombie spawner dungeon, so I decided on getting a horse friend to go over to a forest a little faster, where I proceeded to tear down a large portion of it. For the next couple of days, I'd like to focus on getting all of the wood that I need for my house. So that's what I did on day 6 as well, just a lot of chopping. With all of the wood gathering out of the way, the last thing that I needed to collect for my house was a lot of copper and tuff. Luckily, we have a giant dripstone cave under our base, and again, this cave is just massive. There's even a geode almost completely exposed, which is pretty cool. But for the entirety of day 7 and 8, I just grinded for materials, and there's still so much more to explore down here, so this won't be my last time down in these caves. Once I got to the surface, I started to smelt up my copper and noticed that we caught a little kitty in the boat. As soon as I get some fish, he'll definitely become mine. But I mean, I guess technically he is mine already considering that he's trapped in my boat. But nonetheless, he will officially be mine. The next day, it was finally time to start building my house. I'm going for an all-in-one house that kind of has everything that I need in one space. Eventually, we might build more buildings, but for now, this will work. So I built the house up on stilts so that there's space underneath it for me to do something with. Oh, and we caught a villager in a boat this time. This block palette is a bit out of my comfort zone, but I really wanted to build with some of the new 1.21 blocks. So we have a tuff and copper roof. Eventually, I do want to do a gradient with the roof, but we won't be able to do that until we get bees. Over time, this space will fill out a bit more, but for day 12, I'm pretty happy with it. For the rest of day 12, I started on the interior, which isn't much, but I did add a separate room for my bed, and then the main room will house my storage. Everything is a bit ugly right now, but I don't mind honestly. On day 13, it started thunderstorming and I didn't want to take any chances with the villagers, so I just went to sleep. The next morning, I finished up with the interior and moved everything that was outside inside. Also, we now have a roommate, which is fine, I guess. What's mine is his, I guess. Now it's time to really start focusing on getting enchanted diamond gear. Eventually we'll be exploring the trial chambers, of course, and I don't want to do that with iron armor. So I started off with planting a wheat field under my house so that we can get a cow pen going. I also plan on putting the animals under my house as well, so I gathered some cows and sheep and put them inside of the pens. And tell me why this took me a whole day. Honestly, I have no idea. Probably because the sheep were being very uncooperative. The next morning I woke up and decided that I was sick at looking at my glassless windows, so I went down to the water and collected some sand and also got some fish for the boat kitty. Now my windows have glass and I have a pet cat. Also, can cats not pathfind on farmland? Because this little guy was stuck in the wheat field. I eventually got him inside though. I also started a sugarcane farm, you guessed it, under my house. It's actually so cool having all of my farms here in one place. Then I saw my neighbors having a very tense conversation. I wonder what they're talking about. Maybe the fact that my roommate just up and left. I have no idea where he went, and now I'm feeling a little lonely. At this point, I'm just waiting for the farms to grow and the cows to grow up, so I decided on going caving. I'm going to need diamonds for an enchanting table and a pickaxe, so now's a good time to get some. Oh, and there's just casually an ancient city right here in this cave. I do kind of want to explore it though, and maybe get some good loot from it, but that'll be for another day. This cave had so many mobs in it, and it just kept on getting more and more concentrated the more I lit everything up. There was even a skeleton riding a spider and a ton of silverfish. What is up with that? I was lucky enough to find a total of 6 diamonds, which is the perfect amount to start out with, I think. I left the caves in the middle of day 19 and just did some chores around my base. Seeing the sunlight after nearly an hour in the caves feels so good. I'm still waiting for my farm and my cows to grow, so for the next few days I decided to stay home and get some decorating done. That being said, it's finally time to get rid of those stinky torches and replace them with lanterns. I also added a copper counter, a pink rug, and a little chest thing in my bedroom. I forgot to record all of day 21 because I'm a pro YouTuber, but I'll just show you what I did. I added some of the new 1.21 paintings, and I have to say that I'm so glad that they added more paintings to the game. I usually forget about them, but now I actually want to decorate with the paintings. I started to pave a path going to my house, and I plan on having a retaining wall beside of it. Oh, and our roommate came back for a visit and he invited a friend. I guess my house is just up to his standards now. But moving on to the current day, I'm nearly completely out of copper and tuff. So in order to finish that retaining wall, it's back to the caves for me. I left the caves on day 23 and finished up my retaining wall, and I think it turned out pretty good. Again, the blocks are not ones I would typically choose, but honestly, I'm kind of vibing with it. The sugarcane is also officially spread out, and the cow pen is getting pretty full. We're making pretty steady progress, and I'm really starting to like this world. The next morning, I woke up with an itch to explore. I have no idea what biomes we have around us, and I'd really like to find maybe some bamboo or a flower forest. Honestly, anything besides plains, spruce, and meadows. So I hopped on my horse, rode to an ocean, waved him goodbye, then realized I forgot my bed. Bed in hand, I went back out to the ocean and really only found more plains and some snowy biomes. Day 25 turned out to be a very rainy day, but it's kind of cozy with shaders on. I didn't want to get too far away from my base, so I decided to backtrack and explore in a different direction. I still really wasn't having much luck, but I did find an abandoned village and some cute flowers. I took the opportunity to slay any cows I ran into as well, just to expedite the enchantment setup grind. Right before I was about to go to sleep for the night, I did spot a savanna, which will be perfect to get some little armadillos. Then on day 26, I had so much good luck. I found a flower forest and a swamp, so of course I had to go pick a bunch of flowers and get some lily pads. Then I was thinking about how nice it would be to just bring some armadillos home with me right now. The only problem is that I don't have any leads, but we do have a swamp right here, which means that slimes will be able to spawn. So I stayed up and slayed a bunch of green squishies and several spiders, and got everything I needed to craft some leads. Also, one recipe makes 2 leads, which I didn't realize, so now I have 4. The only problem that I was having now was I couldn't find any armadillos, not even a single one. But I was determined at this point, so I explored through the rest of day 27 and through the majority of day 28. As the sun was setting though, I ended up finding another savanna and a lot of llamas. I don't think I've ever seen so many llamas in one area, honestly. Anyways, my armadillo search was over because I finally found several of the little chunky guys in this new savanna. So I attached them to leads and rode my horse towards home, but they were literally fighting for their lives back there. And so was I, because as soon as I got to a forest, it was so hard to get everyone through. In 1.21, you can now attach leads to boats, so I tried that method for a while and it works great unless you're going through somewhere with lots of twists and turns, and I was in this forest. And you all know how riding a horse through a forest is, it's not great. I spent an embarrassing amount of time right here in this spot trying to get something to happen, but I finally made it home on day 31, and I am just so excited to stay here for a while. I was exploring for so long. I am too scared to keep the armadillos outside just in case they die on a sweet berry bush or something, so they will temporarily be house armadillos. I bred them up and look how small the baby is. Next, I got started on a little bee garden that I want to make. If you know anything about me, you know that I love myself a good pond. So I started with a pond, which might actually be a bad idea now that I think about it, because bees hate water, but we'll just look past that. Then I built a little wall to kind of encase the garden in and added lots of flowers. We also lost an armadillo because my dumb roommate keeps leaving the door open, but I found him and brought him back home. And then I bred them up one last time before I went to sleep. Oh, and they drop scoot fairly often, so I already have several of those, which is pretty cool. The next day I went to scope out the nearest beehive and got some honeycomb so that I could craft my own beehive. I brought 2 of the bees over and got a little baby bee. Also, the armadillos have lost house privileges now because they keep on escaping, so I now have 2 leashed up by the bee garden. On day 34, I started to craft some bookshelves and it had enough materials for 12, so I'm so close to that full enchantment setup. I decided to start building a little enchanting gazebo while I waited to collect more materials. Unfortunately, my house isn't big enough to have an enchantment setup inside of it, and if I could rebuild my house, I think I'd make it even bigger. Oh, and the wandering trader decided to show up on day 35. Figures now that I have plenty of leads. For the enchanting gazebo, I just kept it super simple. For the roof, I went for the copper grates since I haven't built with them before, and I really like them. Maybe at some point one of my roofs will start to oxidize and then I can actually use my new bee garden. Anyways, I crafted my first diamond pickaxe to mine for obsidian, except there wasn't a single lava pool down in the caves. I mean, maybe there is somewhere, but I just wasn't feeling like exploring. But once I exited the caves, I saw something glowing in the hills, and I think it's a lava pool. Then a creeper tried to end my life. The next morning, I made my way over to the lava pool and mined for obsidian. I slayed a few of my cows on the way back and some of my own cows as well, and I finally have enough for a full enchantment setup. I don't know how it took me so long, but on day 36, we've done it. I think this honestly may be the slowest it's ever taken me to get a full enchantment setup. Oh, also, you know how my cat was having issues getting through the farmland? Now the wandering trader is stuck there too. Is this just a 1.21 bug, or has it always just been like this? Anyways, it's now time to see that first diamond pickaxe enchant, and it's not fortune 3. Neither were the next several after that, and on my last chance of getting a level 30 enchant, I decided to just go for it even though it didn't say fortune 3, and there we go, fortune 3. Do you know what would pair well with my new fortune 3 diamond pick? Diamond armor. And you know where I'm about to go for said diamond armor? Yup, the ancient city. Once I got down into the caves, I did a bit of free cam just to see the best way for me to go down. And yup, that's a skeleton spawner right underneath me, beside some shriekers, and right above an ancient city. So I very stealthily dealt with the skellies and lit it up. I honestly don't know if I'm brave enough to build a skeleton farm right there. After they were dealt with, I dropped a bucket of water and made my way down. Oh, by the way, I have been periodically gathering wool this whole time, hence me even being brave enough to explore the city. I made my way to the first chest area and tried to cover the shriekers as best as I could with wool, but I always find that it's so easy to miss a straggler or two. So I opened the first chest and prayed that I didn't set anything off, and success. Though there was literally nothing good in that chest. Now it's time for the second chest. This one wasn't so successful, but I knew that I still had a few more chances before the warden spawned. I got my very first diamond armor 2 pairs of diamond leggings. I went to look for one last chest and got another pair of diamond leggings and Swift Sneak 3, which is pretty cool. I was wondering why there were so many diamond leggings in these chests, but I realized that it's probably a good thing considering how many times I'm going to have to change them after exploring this city. But since I've already set off a shrieker twice and I'm starting to run out of wool, I decided that I'm happy with what I was able to get and headed out. Maybe I'll go back down there at some point. If you can't tell by now, I've been trying to avoid branch mining, but I figured that if I want to get a full set of diamond armor, I better get on it. Yes, I could find diamonds in other ways, but I feel like branch mining is just a guaranteed way to get them. And we have Fortune 3, so that kind of speeds things up. I turned this little hill into a branch mine entrance, and it's not much. And maybe I'll spruce it up at some point, but for now it works. Then I dug all the way down to Y-58 and got busy. On day 40, I found a total of 8 diamonds. Then the next morning, I went back up to craft some more pickaxes, and my roof had finally started to weather, so I waxed a couple of stairs and went straight back down into the branch mine. I broke one of my 2 pickaxes I crafted and nearly broke the second one when I found diamonds again. And I ended up getting 26 diamonds from that one cluster, which means that my diamond search is over. I can finally craft full diamond armor. So right when I woke up, that's the first thing I did. And I even had enough diamonds to craft a full set of tools too. I was at level 30, so I decided to see what enchants I could get on my armor. And I went for protection 3 on my chest plate and only got protection 3. But that's okay because I'd like to try working towards making that zombie farm into an XP farm. Though unfortunately I do need to go to the Nether for that so that I can get soul sand for a bubble elevator. That being said, I got busy building a Nether portal. Again, I'm keeping things kind of simple and sticking with a tough and copper block palette. I've really enjoyed just playing Minecraft and not worrying about making everything super aesthetic. Sometimes I'll spend hours in a creative world getting a build just right, but I've taken a more chill approach with this world. Nonetheless, I still think it looks pretty good. The next morning it was Nether time, so I crafted some golden booties and tried to craft a flint and steel, but I don't have any flint. How am I 46 days into my world and I don't have a single piece of flint? Anyways, I went to grab some, lit my Nether portal, and the wandering trader went right inside, and so did one of his llamas. At least I won't be alone in the Nether. I had a pretty good Nether spawn, I thought. I kind of like spawning inside of the waste, and there was a warped forest, a crimson forest, and a Nether fortress super close. I don't technically have plans for potions at the moment, but I figured it didn't hurt to get some supplies, so I went on over to the fortress. There was tons of loot there, and I even got my first armor trim. If I don't get any other armor trims within 100 days, maybe I'll go with the armor trim for my armor. Then I got some soul sand and nether wart, and also slayed some blazes for blaze rods. You also need blaze rods for the new copper bulbs, so I definitely wanted to grab some. Then I got a little stressed and headed out of the Nether back to my cozy base. Back at home, I started right away on the zombie XP farm. Usually I do a one-hit kill farm, but the tutorial video I clicked on didn't use a bubble elevator. So technically, did I need to go to the Nether? Apparently not, but here we are. Also, I can't count. I kept on getting the dimensions of the spawning room wrong, and it took me about a day to realize that I miscounted. While I was building the farm, I kept on hearing a lot of zombie noises, so I dug towards the noises, and yup, we have another zombie spawner. It feels like such a waste to not use both spawners, so I tried my best to make a double farm. These are always a little bit tricky because you can't just follow a basic tutorial. The lack of elevators definitely made this easier. However, I do think that it's going to affect the efficiency significantly. Not to mention how annoying it is to not have them be one-hit kill. Either way, I semi-successfully created a double zombie XP farm. Also, please tell me you can relate with how messy the caves get after an XP farm and having to go the most obscure way to get back to the surface. She's definitely not cute. And yay, we're on day 50, halfway there. On day 50, I made a way to get up to the surface a little easier. It's still not great, but it's a little bit better. Frankly, I don't really care how ugly this farm is. Then I realized that I left a torch on the first spawner, so I had to remove that. In order to have both spawners be active, I have to be a little bit higher than the killing spot, so I have a little platform thing to AFK on for a bit. And when everything is working properly, it actually isn't too bad, though I do want to try to get a smite sword. For the next several days, I'd like to work on getting good enchants on all of my gear. That being said, with the levels that I had, I enchanted my axe, but only got efficiency 4 and fortune 2. I'd really like unbreaking 3 on my axe. Anyways, in order to make my zombie farm be its most profitable, I really need to get a cleric villager setup, and preferably one that's been zombie curified. So I crafted 2 brewing stands and started to get materials together for a splash potion of weakness when I realized I don't have any brown mushrooms. So I hopped on my horse and made my way over to the spruce forest, obviously stopping along the way to get rid of the cow population. The next morning I collected some mushrooms, then spotted a forest that I can maybe get a new wolf friend from. I did bring some bones with me just in case I encountered any, and sure enough, there was a woods wolf right there. Then I saw even more, and I thought to myself, how cool would it be to walk into that trial chamber with a wolf pack? So I proceeded to befriend all of them. With my new friends in tow, I headed back towards my base when I ran into even more wolves. So 3 wolves quickly became 7, and I have no regrets. I had to exercise every little bit of self-control that I had not to befriend every other wolf that I ran into, because if I did, I would have went home with like 20 wolves or something. I continued my journey home and found a new village I've never seen before, and you know what that means? Yep, I'm lost and I have no idea where I dropped off my horse. So I spent the entirety of day 53 looking for my horse and getting back home. I even had to look back at my footage to see where I left him. But not to worry, I got my horse and all 7 dogs home safe. I had enough scoot saved up to make 5 pieces of armor. I'll just collect scoot periodically so that I can put armor on the rest of my dogs. Then I remembered that I have horse armor too, so I put diamond horse armor on my horse, and now we match. Now time to make these potions. I made an awkward potion, and then remember that you don't actually need an awkward potion for weakness potions. I guess you could say that's kind of awkward. Then I brewed the right potion and made it into a splash potion. I captured a villager in a boat and successfully turned him into a zombie. Even with all of the iron golems around, I thought that was going to be a little bit more tricky, but it was pretty successful. The next morning, I got rid of the regular zombie, threw the potion at the zombie villager, and gave him an apple. While he cooked for a bit in the dirt cave, I connected my pathway to the village and waxed a single roof piece. I hung out at the zombie spawner for a bit, and then boom, he's healed. I made sure to lock in his trade because right now he just looks like a regular old villager, but he's not, he's special. I picked him out a house, but he wanted to live in this one. Whatever you want, buddy. Either way, he's trapped in there forever. On day 56, I hung out at the zombie farm long enough to get to level 30, and I traded with the cleric villager and got got 1 emerald. We are clearly on our way to becoming rich. I enchanted my chest plate with Unbreaking 3 and Protection 4. I'm really happy with that. That's a good chest plate. I took a little break on the gear grind and linked up all of my builds with pathways. I do eventually want to make my base look semi-nice, but we'll take baby steps to get there. I finished up the path for now the next morning and spent the entirety of day 57 at the zombie spawner. The faster that I get good enchants, the faster I get to move on to more exciting things. In the morning, I traded with the cleric villager and got a few emeralds from him. Also, these iron golems are just out here fighting for their lives. Poor guy. I added item frames to my chests because I was tired of having to open every chest to put my items away. Then it was back to the gear grind. I crafted another diamond sword, enchanted it, and got Unbreaking 3 and Smite 4, which is perfect. Combining both of my swords added looting 3 to the mix, aka the perfect zombie farm sword. I spent the remainder of day 58 and the next day at the zombie farm. Also, is that what it looks like whenever something has thorns on their armor? I don't think I've ever experienced that, honestly. Anyways, I was able to get to level 30 and then traded with the cleric villager again and got a couple more levels. I took a chance with a respiration 3 enchant on my helmet, and what do you mean? I just got respiration 3, so it's back to the zombie farm for me. I got up to level 30 again, and my first enchant was fire protection, and I do not want fire protection, so I re-rolled and got another respiration enchant. I decided just to risk it, and this time I got protection 3 with it. I'll take it, I guess. So now this is what my diamond armor is looking like, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now it is time to get a good bow. I got to level 30, enchanted a bow, and only got power 4. What is up with my enchantment luck in this world? I decided to just re-roll trades until I got something that I liked and eventually found infinity. So you guessed it, I went back to the zombie farm to get to level 30 and then enchanted a bow with infinity, and of course just got infinity. I should just really expect to get what I get at this point. So my final bow is one with power 4 and infinity. Not the best, but it's the best we've got. Also, I forgot to record this next part, so I'll just show you. Now with decent armor and weapons, I think it's finally time to start taking on the trial chambers. But obviously we can't just waltz inside of one because I don't know where one is. That's where our cartographer friend comes in. I traded a bunch of paper with him to level him up once, but we're going to have to level him up again. And it pains me to pay 7 emeralds for an empty map, so I think that I'm just going to wait for the sugarcane to grow more and level him up that way. While we're waiting for that, let's spruce up the base a little bit more. I wanted to plant some cherry saplings around, so I hopped over to the mini cherry grove and got a couple of saplings. I thought that this hill would look 100 times better with a cherry tree on top, so I planted a sapling and we'll just wait for it to grow. I waxed the copper blocks on top of the retaining wall and several staircases on the roof. My sweetberry patch was looking rather early game, so I made it look a little nicer by making a raised bed surrounded by trapdoors. Lastly, I placed some garden lights around the base for a little bit of light, and look at my base, she's coming together and I really like it. The next morning, I realized that sitting around waiting for sugarcane to grow just wasn't going to cut it. So instead, I collected sand to smelt into glass that I could then craft into glass panes. This is another thing that you can trade to cartographer villagers, and doing so leveled him up so fast. Though once he got to the journeyman level, he only wanted to trade a woodland mansion map, not a trial chambers map. So that means that I'm going to have to try again with another villager. That being said, I planted sugarcane all along the river because of course the first level cartographer will only trade paper for emeralds. So it's back to waiting for sugarcane to grow. In the meantime, I figured now would be a good time to try to get mending, and also I want to get a name tag trade in the future, so I spent the rest of the day rolling for trades. I got mending fairly early on in day 66. I fully expected to be rolling for trades for days, but I got pretty lucky here. I was also able to scrape up enough sugar sugarcane for one cartographer trade, then decided to stay the night at the zombie farm just to get some more levels and also more rotten flesh to trade with a cleric villager. And also I'm hoping for the sugarcane to grow a bit overnight. And sure enough, it did. I was almost able to level up the cartographer with a sugarcane that I got, but I was just a little short. So I took one for the team and sacrificed my emeralds for that dumb empty map trade. And once he leveled up, he got the trial chambers trade. The sacrifice was worth it. Then I traded all of my emeralds for a bunch of mending books like a dummy and didn't have enough for the map trade. So I spent the night at the zombie farm again to get more rotten flesh. Also, there was just a zombie chilling in my house when I came back. The roommate situation is getting a little out of hand. Oh, the cherry tree grew the next morning and it looks a little goofy, but at least it's not tiny. Anyways, I got enough emeralds for the trial chambers map and finally made the trade. And look at the map. The trial chambers has literally been under my feet this whole time. The seed just keeps on getting better and better. I went ahead and filled in the map too, just because I think it looks cool with it showing my base, the village, and the trial chambers. I want to make sure that I'm super ready for taking on the chambers, so I have a little list going of things that I want to do to prepare. And first up on the list is to make some golden apples. I have next to 0 gold, so I'm going to have to collect some, and I think the Nether will be a good place to do that. So I went to the zombie spawner again and healed up my fortune pickaxe, then hopped into the Nether. And why are there so many bees? I was wondering where all of my bees went, and I guess they just decided to go into the Nether. Honestly, I feel a little bit bad for them. Anyways, I filled up my inventory with gold nuggets, and I was able to get enough to craft 12 golden apples. I really wanted feather falling 4 on my boots, but I was only able to get feather falling 2, and it's better than nothing at least. I made some extra shields, a bed, got some milk, and filled up a bucket with lava. Now for the animals. Obviously, I'm bringing all of my wolves with me, and ideally they'd have names before I went, but I only have 3 name tags. So instead, I named my cat Figaro and 2 of the dogs Evermore and Folklore. For the ones without names, we're just going to pretend and use dyed armor to tell them apart. Lily has yellow armor, Eddie has orange, Marie red, Maggie pink, and Margot blue. I got some extra beef to heal them, and I'll also bring the extra scoot that I have to heal their armor. I'm really hoping that we don't have any doggo deaths, but I can't promise anything. Early the next morning, I gathered my dogs and staircased down to the trial chambers. Now, this was my very first time ever exploring this thing, so I had no idea what to expect. I did watch a video before on how to better prepare, but other than that, this was completely new to me. Immediately as I entered, I activated a bog spawner, but luckily Smite 4 absolutely saved me during this trip. Every enemy I ran into, other than the breeze, was demolished by my sword. The pups were doing a pretty good job as well. The baby zombies were awful, but frankly, I'd rather deal with them than anything ranged like a skeleton or something. And again, the dogs were so good for them because it's so hard for me to hit their tiny hitboxes, but the dogs could do it no problem. I will say that I wish I was a little bit more diligent about collecting scoot because their armor was taking a beating. If I ever use this strategy again, I'll be sure to bring tons of scoot and heal the armor between every trial. I also ran into husks and of course the breeze. Those guys were a piece of cake and perfect for the dogs since they don't do much damage. I got lots of loot from smashing pots, chests, and of course the vaults. Some of the better things I got were diamonds, emeralds, and a banner pattern. In order to unlock the ominous vaults, which are the better version of just the regular vault, you need an ominous key, and to get one of those you need to drink the bad omen potion and complete an ominous trial. Because my dog armor was already breaking, I really didn't want to chance them dying when it came to taking on the harder stuff, so I plopped them down and went forward alone. The lava bucket was such a good idea. I used it several times against the baby zombies and also while totally cheesing the bog trial. I did come close to death a couple of times, but the golden golden apples saved me, and I'm so glad that I put in the extra time to get them. Also, it wasn't just my dog armor that was suffering, mine was too, and I lost my helmet and my boots while down here. I'm kicking myself for not putting mending on them, especially knowing that I literally bought several mending books. Anyways, I got trash loot from all of the spawners, but I was able to get 2 ominous keys. The first vault only gave me some tipped arrows and a Windburst 1 book, but in the second one, I got the new flow armor trim. By then, I was ready to head out of there, so I looked for where I set my dogs for way too long and finally found them and made my way out. I'm really happy with how that trip went, and no deaths too. I wasn't expecting that, honestly. Once I got home, I cleaned out my inventory and decided that I wanted to grind for some diamonds since my helmet and boots broke, and also I would like to duplicate the flow armor trim, but I realized that I only had 3 coal left, so I hopped over to a stony shore and fortuned some. The next morning, I headed down to the strip mine and got busy. The first diamond vein I found had 13 diamonds with fortune, and the second one gave me 5. Then I found a cave, and wow, that's a lot of mobs. After clearing them out, I searched around for diamonds and got so lucky, as in I found 38 diamonds in this one small cave. I left with a total of 58, which is way more than I needed, but of course I'm not complaining. When I left the mines, I went ahead and crafted a diamond helmet, and I already had an extra pair of diamond boots from when I was trying to get feather falling boots. I went for an Unbreaking 3 enchant on the helmet, and you guessed it, only got Unbreaking 3. Next, I enchanted my boots with Protection 4 and also got Depth Strider 3. I want my armor to be trimmed with quartz, so I went into the Nether to collect some. Next up, it was time to duplicate the armor trim. I needed a total of 21 diamonds to do so, which is just a crazy number, honestly. Luckily, I had plenty of diamonds. From there, I added the trim to my armor. I hadn't seen the armor trim in game before, and look how cool it is. I think this honestly may be one of my favorite trims, and the quartz was a good choice too. I've been wanting to build a horse stable for a while now, because anytime I go to ride my horse, he's off in a hole somewhere or something. So I got started by chopping some spruce wood, planting oak saplings, and spreading around more copper blocks to oxidize. Before night hit, I went to the Nether to try to rescue some bees so that I can get my population back up. I managed to get one of them, and hopefully I have one back home so I can breed them. Some days I'll look back and think, what did I even do this day? And today was one of those days. The biggest thing I accomplished was decorating my little mining entrance. I added some bushes, flowers, and sweet berry bushes, and inside I textured the walls a bit. The next few days I got busy on the horse stable. I wanted to do a copper gradient on the roof like I did for my house, but I didn't have quite enough copper oxidized. Hopefully by the end of the 100 days, it'll age enough for me to wax it. I tried to do something a little different with the roof shape by making it asymmetrical on the side, and I squeezed in lots of little details into the build. This is such a cute and simple little stable, and I think it's a perfect addition to my base. Now all that's left to do is ride my horse in. There will be no more falling in holes and getting stuck for him. For the next build that I have planned, I'm going to need a lot more copper. So I went down to the caves to collect some. I had been thinking about what I wanted to do with the remainder of my 100 days, and I knew that I wanted to do something related to my dogs. They've been such an unexpected addition to this world, and obviously I had to do something for them, but I'll get more into the build once I start it. On day 83, I collected more materials for the build and spread out some copper blocks to oxidize. Then a wandering trader somehow got inside of my house and was dragging his llamas through my sweet berry bushes. I find it hilarious that so many animals, people, and monsters have been inside of my house. I guess that's just what happens whenever you live so close to a village. Now on to the build. I thought it would be fitting to build the dogs their own house, and what better way to do it than to build a miniature version of my house. This is literally the best idea I've had this whole video. I gave them a little tree, their own pond, and linked the build up to my main pathway. Isn't this just the cutest little build? build. I did some minimal interior by placing some counters, a smoker, a dog bed, and some item frames filled with beef. Now it's time to add the dogs. I just kind of sprinkled them around the house and the yard. Of course, Folklore and Evermore have to be beside of each other. Honestly, I think this is my favorite build of my base. It just brings me so much joy whenever I look at it. The next day, I wanted to set off to finish all of my roofs. Never again will I build with copper pre-oxidized, expecting it to oxidize. Oh, we also have a villager living with the dogs now. I kind of like it though. He's like their little dog keeper or something. Anyways, I started off by getting some more bees since most of mine live in the Nether, and I bred them up. That's another thing I should have done, made an automatic bee farm, especially knowing how much I was going to build with copper, but I feel like it'd be pointless now, so we'll just stick with manually harvesting the hives. I have copper spread out everywhere, so as it oxidizes, I'm going to be going in and switching out pieces on my roofs and then waxing them as soon as I have the wax. As I do that, I want to start zombie purifying the mending villager. I really want to get name tags, but it's just not efficient to level him up without discounted trades. So I trapped him in a boat and at night got a zombie to zombify him. Oh, also earlier in the day, I enchanted my helmet and got protection 3 and unbreaking 3. So now all of my armor is enchanted with decent enchants. The next morning, I killed the regular zombie, splashed the villager with a potion, and fed him a golden apple. It really shouldn't be so easy to do all of this in a village full of iron golems, but I can't complain, can I? While I waited around for him to cook, I traded out some blocks on my roofs again. I think it'd be so cool to have a copper gradient on all of the roofs, and I think we'll be able to get there. I'm getting pretty close already. I leveled up the mending villager the other day and got a ton of mending books, probably too many. But now I have mending on all of my gear. I finally unlocked the name tag trade, and it's 13 emeralds for 1 name tag. And I need 5 to 6 depending on whether or not I want to name my horse, and I do. I had enough emeralds to get 1 name tag, then I spent the rest of the day and the night at the zombie farm getting rotten flesh for more emeralds. This allowed me to get 2 more name tags. With a couple more days and nights like this, I was able to get enough emeralds for 6 name tags. I went with the name Hopscotch for my horse, and of course the dog with the yellow armor is Lily, orange Eddie, red Marie, pink Maggie, and blue Margot. Now my whole little family has names. Alright, so this may be a dumb idea, and in hindsight it kind of was, but I wanted to explore the trial chamber again. For some reason I was thinking that the vaults also had a cooldown time and that I could get prizes from them again, but that's only with the spawners. I did manage to unlock 2 vaults that I had missed and was able to get a diamond chest plate and a Guster banner pattern, but other than that, this trip was kind of a waste. Then I was like, okay, I can do another. I have 3 more days left, so I got enough emeralds for another map, and it was literally the same map as before. I was going to travel further away from the first trial chambers before I read it, but as soon as I bought it, it immediately was already read, and it was completely filled in, oddly enough. So with my days quickly coming to an end, I knew it was a bad idea to pursue another chambers. There's just no way that I would be able to explore one completely in time. Though I did get the Guster banner pattern the second go around, and I wanted to do something with it. I almost never do anything with banners, but it felt fitting since this one is new. I made 2 pink banners and combined the pattern with white dye and placed them on my house. I have no idea why I don't do banner things more often because they make such cute decorations, and I know that they can get so much more detail than these little simple ones, but I still like them. The very last thing that I like to do in my world is make an armadillo enclosure. These little guys aren't technically new to 1.21. They were added sometime in 1.20, but they still feel fairly new. And all of my animals have some kind of enclosure, so it's about time that the armadillos got one too. they've just been attached to a fence post on leads this whole time. That being said, I made a cobblestone and tuff wall and filled it in with coarse dirt. For some details, I added flowers, a small pond, bushes, and pebbles. Now the armadillos finally have a place to call their own, and look how cute they are. With that very last project complete, that pretty much wraps up my 100-day world. It always amazes me just how much you can get done in 100 days, and I know I could have done so much more if I wanted to be more efficient with my time, but I kind of enjoy just having a nice, chill, cozy time. I really like the 1.21 update, and I was kind of a skeptic of the update at first. I just wanted something a little bit more, but I think the trial chambers are actually so much fun. And of course, we can't forget about all of the new additions to the tuff and copper family. I love all of those blocks so much. I also wanted to quickly thank my channel members for helping me keep my channel going. If you'd like to support me further and support my dream of making Minecraft content, then click that little join button below. But that is pretty much going to wrap up this video here. If you haven't already, then be sure to like and subscribe. I hope that you all have a lovely, lovely day, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!